Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, ciao, bonjour, namaste, jumbo. Bienvenidos. Hey, my name is Jed. Welcome to Reading with Your Kids. We are beaming out to you in the entire planet from the beautiful, book-loving neighborhood of Reedville, the loveliest neighborhood in all of Boston. I'm so very happy that you are joining us because I believe that real magic happens when we share stories together. When a child sits down with a parent, grandparent, or teacher and opens up a book, hearts connect, imaginations grow, and love shines brighter. Today, we're doing something a little bit different. We are traveling to the COSSBA National Education Conference, the Consortium of State School Board Associations. I had such a wonderful time, and I met so many wonderful people, and I can't wait to introduce them to you. In the meantime, please help us grow our mission by telling all of your family and friends about the show and letting them know that they can hear us on the WREB AM/FM 24/7 radio network, and they can find us on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, Podcast Addict, Amazon Music, Audible, CastBox, YouTube, wherever you find your favorite shows, you can find Reading with Your Kids. And now, off to Louisville, Kentucky, and the Consortium of State School Board Associations National Conference. We're going to begin this special episode of Reading with Your Kids with a conversation with the Executive Director of COSSBA, Dr. Kathy McFarland. Hey, Dr. Kathy, first, can you tell us what COSSBA is?
I love that question. So COSSBA is a nonpartisan association at the national level, and we support state associations that support local public school board members. And our job is to provide resources and services to the state associations so that they can support their local boards. And so this conference is just coming together with people from all over the United States with one goal in mind, which is just to make sure that we're doing what's best for kids.
I love that, and I love that it's nonpartisan because, boy, from the outside looking at, my beautiful wife taught school for 34 years. It's so, politics are just messing up everything, especially in schools.
And we really just stay focused on what is best for kids. We do have 7 tenets that we advocate for, but other than that, we just really make sure that we're doing the good work and providing resources and services to our members so that they can do the good work back at their states.
What do you think is the one thing that school board members can do to improve education in this coming year?
Get a student on their board. They need to get a student and get student voice, because if you're creating policy, which is what boards do, right, and they're moving the strategic plan forward and setting goals for the district, they need to have a student sitting at the table with them to be part of that conversation.
What would you say to the person who's almost 100 years old like me who sits down and says, kids, what do we need to listen to kids for?
Well, maybe, that's funny. You need to start listening, because what I love about kids is they're going to tell you, right? They're going to tell you. They're going to save you a lot of time because you don't have to guess. It makes me laugh sometimes that we make policies for students, but we forget to ask them, hey, what do you think about this? What does this look like? Will this be effective? Can you help us in this district to make this a really great district? And that's the other thing that board members really need to embrace is students can carry the message to the student population, right? Lots of kids are like, I don't want to hear about the adults. They don't understand me. But if you can have some students that are sitting at the table and they're part of the conversation, I mean, there's your marketing right there.
That's exciting. How did you get into COSSBA and education?
Yeah, so I was in public education for 28 years. I was a high school English teacher, and then a middle school principal, and then a high school principal. Had an opportunity to work at the State Association in Ohio, and then from there accepted the position that I've been in since July 1 for COSSBA. So public education is my passion. It's what I've done since I graduated from college. And so I so much believe in students, that no matter where I sit, I always make sure that they are right, my North Star. They are my North Star.
Yeah, I love it. What was the most challenging thing for you as an educator?
The most challenging thing for me as an educator is adults that didn't believe in students. That a student would walk into the classroom or out in the world, and for whatever reason, some people have preconceived notions about what their success is going to be. And so it takes one positive adult, to change the trajectory of a child's life. That's huge, right? But it can also go the other way. And so I think that was probably the most frustrating, is when adults would get in the way of students.
Boy, you're preaching to the choir here. And I do know that from my own personal life, just that one caring adult who sees a kid and says, I believe in you.
Yes.
You can do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's huge. I mean, I can name who did that for me. Mr. Myers, Mr. Moss. I mean, I had all really great coaches and teachers. And the reason that I'm sitting in the seat I am today is because those adults took the time to say, Kathy, I see you and I believe in you, and I'm going to walk with you on your journey.
Yeah. You know, we only have time for a quick interview here. Would you come back on and do a full episode
I
of
would
Reading
love
with Your
to.
Kids?
I would
Awesome.
love to. And thank you for joining us. I'm not sure if your audience knows that you're here supporting COSSBA's work, that you've brought your bookstore, and that we are actually collecting books that we can give back to the local districts. We always try to do something great. We are servant leaders, and so we always look for opportunities to give back to the state that we're having our events in. So thank you for joining us and being such a great part of a child's journey.
Thank you. Thank you, Eric. This is Dr. Kathy McFarland. Thanks for being on
All
Reading
right.
with Your Kids.
All right. We'll see you soon.
This episode of Reading with Your Kids is brought to you by the Fred the Snake series, written by Dr. Peter Cotton. I just got back from the COSSBA National Education Conference. 1,500 school leaders from across the country. And I have to tell you, one of the biggest smiles at our booth came from a little snake named Fred. We were sharing the Fred the Snake book series, and again, superintendents and educators were drawn in by the bright, colorful illustration. They'd pick up a book, start flipping through it, and you could just see it. They got it. These are the kinds of stories kids want to read. But you know what really stopped them in their tracks? When I told them that the author, Dr. Peter Cotton, was a world-renowned gastroenterologist and teacher before he began writing children's books. And suddenly it clicked. Here's someone who spent a lifetime helping people, now using the same care, the same curiosity to create stories that help kids feel brave, welcome, and excited to learn. The Fred the Snake series now includes 10 wonderful adventures, from getting mended to going to school to exploring cities and beaches with friends, and every one of them is filled with heart, humor, and connection. We loved having Dr. Peter on Reading with Your Kids, and I can tell you, educators at the COSSBA conference love Fred the Snake just as much as we do. So if you're looking for stories your kids will laugh with, learn from, and want to read again and again, meet Fred the Snake. Because with Fred the Snake, the real magic happens when we choose kindness and become a friend. We are back at the COSSBA National Education Conference in Louisville, and I am here with the keynote speaker here on Saturday, Ravi Hutheesing. Ravi, how are you?
I'm great, Jed. Nice to be here. Thanks for having me on.
You're very, very welcome. Tell me about your book, Pivot.
Well, it's really an autobiographical story about my pivots, and what I think we can learn from it is how to teach the idea of pivot. Because, look, we live in an age of artificial intelligence. We've got 85% of the jobs in 5 years from now are jobs that haven't been even invented today. Mm-hmm. So how are we going to teach students to be equipped and have the skill set for jobs we don't even know about? Mm-hmm. So that's the idea, is we have to teach them to pivot, and then they'll be fine. If we give them that lifelong learning tool and skill of being able to pivot, then they'll be able to move from whatever they face in the future.
Yeah, and that is a skill that we're going to have to teach. I know when I was growing up, I'm about 100 years old, so the idea was you get one gig, and that's it. You're set for life. You never have to worry about getting another job. That doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
And like you said, a lot of the jobs that kids are in college studying for now they're not going to be around when the kids graduate.
Well, 39% of the skills that we teach today are going to be obsolete in 5 years. And, when you talk about getting that one job, the job market's changed. It used to be about loyalty. Today it's about adaptability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You talked about the pivots in your life. Can you talk about some of those pivots that you had to make?
Well, sure. I mean, I grew up in a family that was had a political legacy. My great uncle was Jawaharlal Nehru, the first Prime Minister of India. My dad didn't go into politics. He pivoted, went into finance. And I didn't go into either of those. I pivoted and went into rock and roll, into music. And so I was a guitar player for Hanson back in the late 90s. We were the top-selling band in the world in 1997. And I had a great time until the Internet came around, changed the entire scope of the music industry, and our contract got put on a shelf. We had to pivot.
Yeah.
And I pivoted into aviation, got my pilot's license, did a lot of work in aviation. And then in 2015, I pivoted again and became a cultural diplomat for the U.S. Department of State and created songwriting programs to bring people from traditionally opposed cultures and religions together. So we did it in Indonesia, Russia, China, Iraq, Lebanon, and it was really amazing. And you'll see in the keynote today that what I really hope that the audience takes away is that education is a lot more important than just jobs and careers. It's about humanity. It's about world peace. When we're literally this day, we're killing ourselves and each other. We've got a bigger responsibility here than jobs and careers, because artificial intelligence and technology is going to handle a lot of that. And I find that exciting. What do we do with all this human capital? What do we do with what I call human intelligence, right? That's what we really need to be developing, and to make sure that our humanity comes first and that we solve the real big problems of the world, and we equip our students to pivot to be able to do that.
I really appreciate that you're talking about AI as if it's a good thing, because it's here. And it doesn't matter if it's a good thing or a bad thing. It's here and we have to deal with it.
Absolutely. And so we have to harness it and use it to the best of our abilities. And, we think of it as a bad thing because it is going to disrupt the job market. But we have to pivot. As a species, we have to pivot. I mean, really think of it at that level.
Yeah.
As a species, we need to change the way we approach the world and the way we use our skills. So, I'm going to talk today about inspiring curiosity, nurturing talent, provoking critical thinking, and fostering communication. I believe that we can teach the skill of pivot and the skills of cultural competence with those 4 tools. And that's what the book is really about. The book goes through those 4 tools.
I have an amazing niece. 22 years old. She's a year away from graduating with a degree in biomedical engineering. She's working as a pharmacy tech, and her mom is freaking out because she read an article that all the biomed jobs that were in Boston 2 or 3 years ago, they're gone. What's my daughter going to do? What advice would you give my niece in terms of being able to pivot?
Well, here's the math, right? I said before that 85% of the jobs in 5 years are ones that haven't even been invented today. In 5 years, also 30% of the jobs could be fully automated. So if you look at those 2 numbers, it means there's going to be a lot more jobs. We're not actually losing jobs. There's going to be many more jobs that are created than lost. So the skill of pivot is really just about lifelong learning. You have to develop that curiosity to always learn, because when you're curious, you find opportunities. There are opportunities around us all the time, but you have to have that skill of curiosity and that ability to communicate. That's the 4th one. You got to be the worst thing we teach kids is never talk to strangers. You got to talk to strangers. We have to teach them how to talk to strangers, because that's the way they will gain opportunities in an unpredictable future.
Yeah. I guess the last question is, I believe everything you're saying. I've had a very pivoty life myself. I went from human services to becoming a professional clown for 35 years and traveling the country, and now I'm podcasting. And every pivot has been a blast.
Yeah.
But it's been scary. And a lot of people along the way, it's like going from human services to be a professional clown. What's wrong? We have to get you an MRI. What do you say about the person who's like, I want to pivot, but man, I'm scared?
Well, one of the skills that we have to teach, and I'm going to talk about that today, is taking risks. We have an achievement-based education system. We should almost have a failure-based education system. We should be pushing our kids to go to the point to where they fail so that we can teach them how to get back up and recover. That's the real skill. Because, as Michelangelo said, it's better to aim high and miss than to aim low and achieve. We need to give these students an opportunity to take those chances and develop an appetite and a tolerance for risk.
Awesome. Ravi, thank you very much. Break a leg today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Take care. This episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast is brought to you by Follow the River by Ellen Cochran. What would you do if you fell from the sky into the Amazon rainforest? That's not fiction. That's the incredible story behind the book Follow the River by Ellen Cochran. On Christmas Eve 1971, 17-year-old Julianne boarded a plane with her mom in Lima, Peru. The destination was home, a research station deep in the Amazon jungle. But just 20 minutes after landing, disaster struck. Lightning hit the plane, and Julianne was thrown 2 miles through the sky into the rainforest below. When she woke up the next day, she was alone. Her collarbone was broken. Her glasses were gone. She only had one shoe, and she was surrounded by one of the most dangerous jungles on Earth. But Julianne remembered the lessons her scientist parents had taught her and began an unbelievable journey through the Amazon. For 11 days, she walked, survived, and followed the water until she found help. Follow the River is a breathtaking story of courage, resilience, and the incredible strength of the human spirit. If your family loves stories like Hatchet or I Survived, this is one adventure you won't want to miss. Discover Follow the River today, a true story that proves that sometimes the greatest survival tool is hope. Hey, I'm here at the COSSBA National Education Conference in Louisville, Kentucky, meeting interesting people, and I ran into Sean Sweet. Sean, hey, how are you?
That's quite the compliment. Thank you, Jed. Interesting people. I'll take it.
You're here with, your banner says, United States of Kindness.
Exactly.
Tell me all about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are kind land.
Okay.
You can kind of get it from the name. We want to make every land a kind land, right? So this year, celebrating America's 250th anniversary, right? Because, America...
Yep.
250 years old this year, and that's great. So we're hopping on that idea and seeing if we can get individuals, organizations, schools across the nation doing 250 acts of kindness this year to change the culture around us. Think about that. If we had that many folks joining in together, doing acts of kindness, and then the next step is then they share it on social, and we all like each other, support, and lift.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the voice that would ring out? Kindness?
I'm not smart enough to do the math, but that's that would be a whole lot of...
That's a lot of numbers.
Stuff. Yeah.
That's a lot. I'm with you. I don't do numbers either, but that's a lot.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Where did the idea for this come from?
32 years ago, Stuart and Susan Musinski started this foundation in 1994 and was all about combating the negative societal influences, whether it was an article in the newspaper, which is true, that they saw kids killing kids in school. They knew they had to do something. So back then they started off, and since then they've been doing programming for kiddos and adults, all about civility, kindness, respect, a little bit of anti-bullying woven in, all of those things. So that's kind of the genesis. That's where it came from.
Awesome.
Yeah.
One of the things I did, educational magic shows for over 35 years, and initially one of the biggest topics folks wanted me to talk about was anti-bullying.
Oh, yeah.
And I really found out quickly that the best way to build a bully-free zone is to build a culture of kindness and respect in the school.
100%. I couldn't have said it better. I feel that each one of our teaching modules, the teachers can again download for free. That's a shameless plug.
Okay.
We have 12, so a year's worth. If you do one a month, 12 modules. They're plug and play. All the instructions are included, and it's just a digital file. So I tell educators across the nation, hey, just get the materials. It's free. You might as well have it. It's another tool in your toolkit, right? Mm-hmm. And so when there's a rainy day or something comes up, and hey, we need to adjust a little bit of our thinking here, class.
Right.
Let's talk about some kindness. Mm-hmm. And they can pull the program out, and away they go.
You mentioned that this started 32 years ago.
Correct.
Why? And I'll tell you, I'm almost 100. But I've just seen this culture of disrespect and the unkindness just seems to be growing. Where do you think that comes from?
That's a great question. I think a collective agreement. I think we all are a little bit to blame. And you know why I say that? When people are sharing things online and socials and they're sharing the bad stuff and it's a popularity contest, right?
Yeah.
What people share, what the news covers. Mm-hmm. It's what people are, so we're trying, that's our goal with the United States of Kindness, to have a little bit of a vein, if you will, or a river, hopefully, a mighty rushing river of positivity and kindness and respect being shared on social. And so when people get on their scrolls, they're not always getting the other things. Right. They're going to get something like, hey, these people here are doing something amazing in their community, and it's changing the culture.
Yeah, I hope so. I think one of the things is you're mentioning the negative video, the person falling off his bike, walking into a wall. That's something that's quick, but kindness takes time.
It does, absolutely. Absolutely, and we do a little bit. I always like to share with people that I think kindness is that one step extra. Now, obviously, smiling at folks, holding the door, you and I looking at pupil to pupil, those basic, I would consider them hopefully being tenets. I call them, being human 101, right? Uh-huh. Just being alive. We should be doing those things. But kindness, in my opinion, goes that one extra step. It's going out of your way to do something nice for somebody else. And I think those are the pieces that truly change the culture. Not that smiling isn't important, because we all should be doing that. Yeah. But when you go out of your way to say, hey, I'm going to go do this for this person or this thing, that's, I think, when we really get some momentum.
Yeah. What's your why? Why? Because you're incredibly passionate about this.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. I think, it goes back to a mantra I heard once, and I've repeated it often. It's far easier to build strong kids than it is to fix broken adults. Ouch, right? Yeah. I mean, and I feel that, as we were giving these tenets to educators, and we can educate the kids younger and younger as possible, I think that really starts changing the momentum of the thought space, and then the culture and the space around the humans that are thinking those things. Does that help?
One of the things that I hear from folks these days is hurt people, Oof. which is true. Right. But the way I hear it from folks
shouldn't be used as an excuse.
Exactly. It's like,
hurt
people.
Right. Yeah, that's a tough thing, and that's a tough subject, really, because there's truth in that. Mm-hmm. At the same time, at any point in anyone's journey, people can change direction, as you know, right? Mm-hmm. You're a positive, you're a smiling guy. You came up to me, very friendly. That takes your choices. That's not. We don't all roll out of bed every day going, we have to work at it, right? Yep. There's a little bit of those extra steps of I need to get to this point, right? And so I feel that even if someone is a hurt person, there still is kindness available in the world. And once we show that to them, potentially, you could change someone's life forever.
Yeah. Hey, how can folks get involved with the United States of Kindness in Kindland?
Super easy. As you just mentioned, United States of Kindness. So if you go to usofkindness.org, it's got all the information. They can even post an act of kindness, which would be amazing, because one of the things we talk about a lot is when we do acts of kindness, that changes us and that person, which is very important. Yeah. But then when we share it and it goes broadcast out to a larger audience, then the impact is multiplied. Whatever those fancy numbers are, right? Mm-hmm. So we reach a much larger audience. So if they go to usofkindness.org, they can find all the information, they can sign up, and they can log acts of kindness, and that's where the momentum starts.
Well,
thank you, Jed.
Sean, you were very kind to join us today.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the invite. I'm honored.
Have a good day, guys. I met so many interesting people in Louisville at COSSBA, including our next guest. And they're off. I'm here at the COSSBA National Conference with Steve Buttleman, who is the bugler for the Kentucky Derby. Steve, how are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Thank you for playing that. What a classic sound. Everybody hears that sound and they know horse racing. They're off.
Yeah, people tend to reach for their wallet when they hear that sound. So, yeah.
Now, you were telling me you've been the official bugler for the Kentucky Derby for 31 years?
Yeah, this will be my 31st Derby coming up.
That's fantastic. What's that like, being in front of a worldwide audience signaling the start of this classic event?
It's kind of terrifying and amazing at the same time. Uh-huh. I always take a walk between the race before Derby and Derby, and I walk up the grass track, and I get to the top of the stretch, and I turn around, and I see the twin spires, and everyone's having a great time. They're all dressed up, and I just think, God, what did I do to deserve this, to be the guy? And I said, thank you, God. Please help me not screw up. That's my prayer every year.
Well, I think God appreciates the down-to-earth, conversation. How did you get the gig?
I'm a trumpet player by, I guess, trade. And they had auditions when the last bugler left, and I thought it would be great experience to go to the audition. I almost didn't go. I was having my wife's car worked on that morning, so I warmed up outside Midas and then came to the audition. I was going to be a little late. I get there, everyone's in a coat and tie. I'm in tennis shoes, cutoffs, and a windbreaker. I was like, oh, my God. But I was like, you're going to go ahead and do it because it's going to be a great experience.
Yeah.
So there was 8 of us. They narrowed it down to 2 of us, and we played the call to the post back and forth. The jury went and deliberated, and I was fortunate enough to be the guy they picked.
That's fantastic. Now, the reason you and I are talking is because you stopped by our book table for reading with your kids, and you were telling me how much your grandkids love reading.
Oh, both my kids and my grandkids love reading. My daughter used to read in the car all the time, even in high school. When she started driving, we had to get her a GPS because she didn't know where anything was because she was always reading. So,
That's great.
But it turned out well. Both kids are very successful and educated.
That's wonderful. Now, what advice do you have for other aspiring musicians or performers who are looking to crack in and get a wonderful gig like you have?
Well, believe in yourself. When God opens the door, walk through it. And just, I don't know what else to say. I'm just very blessed to do what I do. And I love sharing the Derby with people. And it's not, sometimes the way I look at life, it's not what you do, it's how you do what you do that is really important. To treat everybody with respect and love. Now that doesn't answer your question,
but you know what? That's what we're all about.
I think practice really hard. Do put in the time. I know Doc Severinsen, there's an article that I shared on Facebook about him, and he always made things look effortless. But what you didn't see were the countless hours that he put in so that it looked effortless when he did play. And that's the kind of dedication you have to have really to succeed in anything.
Yeah. Hey, what was the craziest thing that happened to you at the Derby?
Well, probably 2 things. One, I went out. I used to have to turn on the microphone from the amp inside the pagoda. Well, one year the sound tech said, "I'll turn it on for you." And so I went out there to play Call to the Post on live TV, and I realized that my mic was not on. So the in-house crowd could not hear what I was doing. And I was like, no. So I turned around and went back in there and turned it on and went back out. And I thought, oh, my God, this is going to be my last Derby. And, of course, TV didn't know what was going on. But I thought if our fans don't hear the Call to the Post, they're not going to erupt.
Right.
And that's not going to give TV what they want. So, but that worked out well, and I'm very thankful for that. And then the craziest thing I've probably seen in the infield is there was a guy on top of one of the Mutual buildings, and it had rained, so there was a puddle on the ground, and everyone was cheering him on. He did a belly flop off the roof, and then 6 officers, 3 on each side, picked him up and hauled him away. I was like, wow, nuts.
That's crazy. Well, listen, thank you so much for spending some time with us on Reading with Your Kids.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I'm really excited to share this next guest with you, Dr. Clifford Jones, the superintendent of Horry County Schools down in the Myrtle Beach, South Carolina area. Boy, what great ideas he has to elevate literacy. Check it out.
I want to create a vision for you for a second.
Okay.
I want you to be a 3rd grader, and through the eyes of a 3rd grader, you get to go with your family to the stadium at night. And you not only get to go to the stadium, in this case, you get to bring some chairs, maybe a blanket, and a book. The whole community of a certain area, in this case, our schools, come to the stadiums.
Okay.
The lights turn on. They read books. together for a couple of hours. Sometimes we have a school performance on the field, but more importantly, we just gather at the stadium to read together. And I will tell you, when that third grader becomes a freshman or sophomore in college, and they're sitting in their dorm room, and they go, "Hey, did y'all read at in your stadium when you were growing up?" And that kid looks at them. My hope is that this message gets out there, and the answer is yes, we did. Isn't that just beautiful?
It is beautiful because, like you were saying, that third grader, I remember it was almost 100 years ago, but I remember being in third grade, walking down the ramp into Fenway Park for the first time. I was third grade, and the lights. It was amazing to have an opportunity to get on the field.
That's right.
With my family.
That's right.
Doing something that's so very important, reading.
It's amazing. And so I'm going to tell you what the other part to this is. And in Horry County, we have a reading movement, not an initiative. It's a movement. It's called #RiseWithReading. It's available on any social, and you can look it up. And what you'll see is not only the kids in the schools and the parents, but you'll see community members who have wrapped their arms around this movement. I've got the Horry County Community Library putting Lexile scores on the binders of books so that kids know which books are available to them. I've got the United Way, and I've got Habitat for Humanity all in on this effort so we can create rich text homes. And here's another thing. Kids are logging pages. So this is a little different, right? This is a whole movement. It's called the Superintendent's Reading Challenge. And the reading challenge is 1,000 pages a month. 1,000 pages, right? So when you think about it, you're like, I don't know if I can make it. Kids are blowing this out of the water, right? Whole schools are recognizing, you made the principal's list and you made the Superintendent's Reading Challenge. And why is that important? Well, I will tell you this. If you put a book in a kid's hand, guess what they don't have? They don't have a tablet or a cell phone, right? And in that case, we're all winning.
Talk a little bit, please, about, because people have been hearing me talk about this stuff and the importance of literacy, but I'm a dope. I'm a professional clown. Why are they going to listen to me? You're an educator. You are leading a pretty big school system. What are the benefits that kids are going to get when their parents choose to read with them 20 minutes a day, every day, when they continue to read with their kids, when the kids become independent readers?
First of all, I just love the idea that parents as partners in education, when they say, what can we do? I'm going to say it's really easy. I just need you to read with your kids. And if this is really, it doesn't start in kindergarten. This is a birth to 12th grade initiative, right? So at birth, we talk about the idea that some kids come in with a lack of vocabulary, right? And that lack of vocabulary really starts with our oral vocabulary. What words have we heard and what words are we exposed to? And it's really hard for our brains to learn more than 300 to 500 new words a year. So to make up that over time, it's really, really hard. That's why you have to have morphemes. I'm going to get technical with you. And these are parts of words that have meaning, right? So for us, it's not just about early literacy, phonics, phonemic awareness, comprehension, vocabulary, and fluency. It's also about the middle and higher grades with vocabulary and writing. Writing is an ancillary skill to reading. So we got to be able to write. And writing right now is really done with a pen or pencil in class, right? And so when we think about all these things, and you asked about what parents can do, it's really about modeling and having them put their phones down and say, watch me read while you read, and then talk about what we read at the dinner table. I don't expect people to be reading at the dinner table, but wouldn't it be lovely if we talked about what we are reading at the dinner table? And so this is where our future lies. This is the opportunity. Reading allows us both a window and a mirror to our world. It's a window to be able to see beyond where we are, and a mirror to be able to see who we are. And those are both very important for kids.
Amen. One of the things that you were just speaking about, talking about the books over dinner. How, and again, I'm a dope. I always thought when you ask a kid, when a parent, the most important person in a kid's life, even when the kids are telling us that we're terrible and they hate us, we're still the most important people in their lives.
That's right.
When we ask them their opinion about something, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? I think that's empowering.
There's nothing more empowering to be seen and have your voice valued. And that's not an age comment. That's an everybody comment. That's a person comment. Mm-hmm. And so whether it's a first grader, hey, what'd you think about Goodnight Moon? Mm-hmm. Right? Well, and we talk about rhyming and maybe blends, to a middle schooler who's reading a series of young author or young adult series that we might not be interested in, but just take 5 minutes to hear why they're interested in. They see seen and valued, mm-hmm. right? And when a student feels seen and valued, they're more likely to lean into things that are hard.
Yeah.
And that's just so important for them.
So I'm going to ask you the same question I asked LeVar Burton when he was on Reading with Your Kids. You are obviously passionate about literacy. Where does that passion come from?
Literacy is a difference maker, right? I will tell you my journey with literacy is one that a lot of kids share, and that is I wasn't a very good reader. In third grade, I was the kid that they made have the pocket dictionary because I couldn't spell very well. It just didn't come naturally to me. Mm-hmm. But I will tell you that my parents supported me. They've always been voracious readers. And as I grew into myself and figured out ways to maneuver through it, it's one of those things that has opened up a world to me. Uh-huh. And that's my job as a superintendent, is to create possibilities. Mm-hmm. Some kids don't wake up in the morning and see the possibilities that lie ahead of them because of their circumstances. Books allow kids to do that.
I love that. Last question. I'm imagining there might be somebody out there saying, yeah, that's great, the book and the on the field, and but that's so pie in the sky. And we don't have the money for that program. Mm-hmm. We don't have time to do this. The standardized testing, and then AI is coming in, and why is kids going to have to learn how to read when there's AI? Just talk to that person, please.
Yeah, courage doesn't take any money, right? To stand up for what's right for kids takes no money, right? It takes perseverance, and it's really why a lot of educators are doing what they do, and they're passionate about kids. And whatever that might look like in your district or your home or your community, stand up for kids. And I will say that it's easier than you think. We can overcomplicate it as adults, but really it goes back to reading, writing, and arithmetic. Those are the three things that'll get us through AI or whatever is coming next. And I will tell you this, that literacy, if not done right, can kill a society. It is the key to a successful, hopeful, right, and innovative society.
Amen. Thank you so much for being on Reading with Your Kids. Oh, if people want to find out more about tell us where
So Horry County Schools is in South Carolina. You might recognize Myrtle Beach, especially if you play golf. That's where we are. We've got 48,000 kids, 58 schools, and if you want to know more about us, go on to any social platform, #RiseWithReading, and come join our movement.
Next up, someone very special to me, my daughter-in-law, Jed Doherty. We are back at the COSSBA National Education Conference in Louisville, Kentucky. What an amazing event. And we are speaking to somebody incredibly important, Jed Doherty. Jed, how are you?
I'm doing great. It's been a great conference so far, and we're really excited that you're here.
Disclosure, Jed is very special to me. She is my amazing daughter-in-law. And what's your role here at COSSBA?
So I'm our operations and governance specialist, and what that means is I really handle a lot of the pieces with our board. So I spend a lot of time working with our board, making sure that they're prepared, that they're informed about the decisions that they're making for COSSBA, and how that might affect our members, which are the State Association School Boards. So really important work we're doing here.
So talk a little bit more about what we're doing for school boards around the country.
Yeah, so COSSBA's great. It's a national organization. We have 27 member states, and we support those state associations. So Florida, where I live, is one of our members. And so COSSBA helps support the Florida State School Boards Association so that the Florida State School Boards Association can support their local school boards associations, which means that our work directly affects all of the students who attend the local public schools in their area.
That's a pretty big mandate.
It really is. It's a lot of pressure, but we're happy to take it on.
Yeah. Tell me, are you aware of how COSSBA came together?
So I am a little bit. I have been with COSSBA since almost the beginning. I missed them by about a year, and we're only about 4 years old. So it's really exciting. I think it was about 22 states got together and created COSSBA with our original executive director, and they really formed it on their own and made it something that they could be proud of and that would really support the needs of those state associations.
Yeah. When I was talking to Dr. Kathy,
Yes.
the executive director now, one of the things she said is that the COSSBA is nonpartisan. And I love that because, as I told her, I think one of the biggest challenges facing public schools is the politics that's involved.
Yes, I would agree with that. We like to call ourselves purple. We don't fall to either side, and that's the best case scenario because when it comes down to it, it's just about the kids. Yeah. Everything we do is to make public schools better so that our kids get a good education and they make it to graduation on time and become excellent members of our society.
You know, I just spoke to the superintendent of the Horry County schools in South Carolina down by Myrtle Beach. And he had an incredibly innovative idea of how to promote literacy. Take the third graders and give them a chance to be on the stadium field reading books with their families. What other kind of innovative ideas have you heard at the conference?
Well, I think that's a great idea. I was a 90s kid, so I remember my Pizza Hut reading challenges, and those were one of the greatest inventions, I think. It really got children interested in books, and I think that's what a lot of our members are looking for. How do we get kids back into reading, especially for fun? I've heard some great ideas, things like that. When I was in kindergarten, we used to have a picnic, I will never forget it, where we would perform a little show that we had learned from a book, and then we would sit down on the lawn with our families, and the teacher would hand out books, and we would read them all together, and my little sisters were there, and so even at a young age, my sisters were being exposed to that. I think it's also really important that the parents are modeling that behavior as well. I love to read, and I think I love to read because my parents love to read, and they put an emphasis on how important reading was. And it didn't matter what I was reading as long as I was reading something. So I think it wraps all the way around. The schools have to be investing in it, the families have to be investing in it, and also you have to figure out what your kid is interested in. Yeah. They don't have to read chapter books. They can read comic books. You know, as long as they're picking up something and working those brains, we'll all be better for it.
I love what you're doing, and I love the passion that you have for COSSBA when we've been chatting off mic and around the dinner table and whatnot. What's the thing that you're most excited about COSSBA being able to do for schools?
Well, I think I get really excited for our national conference. I'm a big lover of education. I spent a lot of my years working in higher education, and when I left, I said, I have to go someplace else that works with students and gives me the chance to be part of an educational spectrum. So COSSBA was the perfect fit for that, and really the national conference is hands down the most exciting time for me. We have a ton of attendees, and I get to meet every single one of them, and I get to hear their stories and understand what they need in their local school district. So I think it's the best thing we do. Also, we had an Elevate Women's Leadership session this morning, and that also has become my favorite thing that COSSBA is going to do pushing forward. It was amazing to see, I think we had 75 or 80 women leaders in the room sharing their stories and really just bonding, and it was excellent.
One last thing, you said that you get to hear what the schools and the districts need. What seems to be the biggest need right now?
Oh, that's a great question. I think something that we always try to do is get buy-in. I think every decision has to have buy-in from everyone involved. These parents are trusting the school boards and the schools with their children. And I think our keynote speaker on UBA Day said that. That is the most precious piece of their lives, and they are trusting the school boards and the schools with that. And so decisions that are made, not everyone is always going to be happy with them, but there needs to be transparency, clarity, and make sure that there's buy-in from the parties when you're creating all these decisions.
Elisa Doherty, thanks for being on Reading with Your Kids.
Of course, thank you for having me.
Right now we're going to speak to the man who put this whole conference together, Glenn Blind. Glenn, how are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
You are the man behind this great event. Am I right about that?
I am the conductor of a great team that put together this.
So tell us, how long have you been with COSSBA?
So I've been with COSSBA since the beginning. So COSSBA was came about in late 21, and I came to the team, actually was the first team member to join, and then everybody else kind of followed after me.
Yeah. So this event, 4 days.
Yes.
I know you've been planning for a long time. We're going to get there. But 4 days, over 1,500 participants.
Correct.
All sorts of breakout sessions, keynotes, folks coming in and out, beautiful hotel. How long did that take you to put together?
So we start putting it together about 18 months in advance. So when we're even doing things when we're planning, when we're in the midst of planning that year's conference. So like I have already started on the planning process for our Dallas convention in 27.
Wow.
So,
incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. How does it feel putting something together like this, knowing that your efforts, which are incredible, I mean, I know the teams here have been working 24 hours for weeks and if not months, that eventually all this hard work and energy is going to result in the fact that kids' educations are going to be impacted and improved?
It really warms my heart. This is a labor of love, being able to bring all the school board members together to be able to collaborate, talk about different ideas. You get together, maybe a small district and a large district, and see what ideas maybe they can bounce off of each other. And sure, a small district may not see what a big district does, or maybe they may not have the resources a big district has, but they could implement different aspects of that. Mm-hmm. And the same thing for a large district. They may not, they may see the smaller district as not having, forward-thinking ideas, but they may have a nugget of something that they can take back to their district.
Right, yeah. I heard this great idea yesterday from the superintendent of the Horry County Schools
in South Carolina. Yep.
They have this turf night where they bring their third graders to the big football field to read under the lights on the big field. I thought that was crazy innovative and such a great idea. What's one of the great ideas that you heard at this conference that you think could really make a difference in kids' lives?
Actually, I think they also had a session that was great where they bring the school board members in to do student visits. Like they go to the school, they go and I think the premise is that they go in and they read to students. They have something like that here in Kentucky, and it's put on by some of the corporations here locally. And I think that Horry County is one that's starting that in South Carolina.
Great, yeah. I know my kids, when they were young, they had their reading buddies, the 8th graders came down to read to them. And it was so cool to the point where they became friends in the neighborhood.
Exactly, yes.
And it's like, they're the big kids. I want to be like the big kids. Oh, the big kids read? I guess I want to read.
That is, yeah. It, as Kathy, our executive director, says, when adults get better, it strengthens the kids.
Yeah.
So.
Tell us if folks want to know more about COSSBA. I know there's probably not any superintendents necessarily listening, but if they're just interested in learning more about the group and what you do, where can they go?
So they can go to www.cossba.org. All of our information is on the website. We pretty much keep that updated with all of our upcoming events. One of our bigger events that are coming up is our federal advocacy program. Any school board member that can come to that it happens in September 21st through the 23rd. We have a full day's program, and then the second day you're on the Hill with your state association, talking to your local representative in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, great. Glenn, thank you so much for being on Reading with Your Kids, but thank you also for this great event.
Well, thank you.
Next up is Dr. Donna McBride, and you're going to hear in Dr. McBride's voice the passion that everybody at COSSBA has for public education. We are here at the COSSBA National Education Conference, and with me is Dr. Donna McBride. Dr. Donna, how are you?
I am amazing, and it is so good to be here. And I just want to share a few moments with you about public education. We educate all children, regardless of race, religion, national origin, or disability. We accept your child as they are and try to move them to where they need to be successful in society. I am a retired educator with over 30 years of experience in education. I've had the opportunity of teaching nationally as well as internationally, and I tell you, teaching internationally with the Department of Defense really had an impact on my educational career. When I started teaching in the month of August, by the time September came around, I had 3 children to leave my classroom. And it dawned on me that I better teach every day as if I never get a second chance, because those children are leaving because their parents had gotten orders to go to places that I probably would never see them again. So when that 3rd child left, I had an epiphany. And you know what? You better take this serious and make sure that you pour into those children every day as if you never have a second chance to do that. So from that point on, I had a different perspective of education. My teaching was different. It was teaching intentional. And that means I had an intent to make sure that I pour into children something that they can carry with them to the next level. When they leave my classroom, they can say that my teacher have poured into me something that I was able to build on to be successful in the next level. And I took that with me, so when I speak with new teachers, I tell them, teach as if you never get a second chance. So I tell you, but that only happens in a public school system, see. You're going to accept every child a parent brings to your school door. But you're going to accept them, and you're going to believe that they can do whatever it is that you teach them. If you don't believe it, then you shouldn't be teaching. Because you have to believe in every child. I tell you, there's no such thing as, well, I don't think this child can do it. Well, I think the child can do it. It's just up to me as a teacher to find out what I need to do to get that child to the next level. And if I don't do that, then I'm doing that child a disservice as their teacher as well as the family. So if you give me a child that's willing to learn, then I'm going to definitely make sure that they reach the next level that they need to be successful in the next grade or whatever they're trying to achieve. Only in public education is that possible. And I can speak that way because I have taught in private school settings as well. And the professional development and the exposure you get in the public school system is much greater than what you get with the private school system. I want to say education as a whole is extremely important. The more you know, the better you are as an individual. And when it comes to reading, I told my students and my children, reading makes you smart. The more you read, the more you know. And that is so very true with anything. So encourage them to read. I read to my children before they were born, when they were in my womb. But for those parents that have not, I wouldn't say it's too late. It's never too late. You can always start somewhere, because nothing beats a failure but a try. So if you try from where you are now, then hey, that's a start. And it's never too late whatsoever. So definitely read, but read with understanding, and encourage your children, if they're reading, ask them questions to ensure that they're understanding what they're reading, because they can read, but it doesn't mean that they're comprehending. So make sure that they're comprehending that. Do some deep knowledge thinking too. So, okay, so what do you think that should have happened? Or what would you have put in there if you were writing something like that? Or what do you think the author was trying to say? Or what could you have included more into the illustration to give you a better feeling about what it is the author was trying to portray? Reading is fundamental. As they say, I know it's a cliche, but it is so true that if you don't have that basic fundamental reading ability down, you don't have to be a scholar, but you need to at least have an 8th grade level of reading to be successful. It's okay. Just do it, because it is something that you need to be successful in life.
Amen. Yeah. Well, thank you for being with us, but also thank you for the work that you're doing for COSSBA.
Absolutely.
And your service. One of the things I noticed, and I've had the pleasure and the honor of performing in a couple of those base military schools, and the kids were phenomenal. They're incredibly respectful and supportive of each other.
Absolutely.
So thank you for all the service you did, not only for those kids, but for the many kids that you taught over the years.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Hey, we hope you've enjoyed this episode of Reading with Your Kids, and will join us for the next exciting episode of the show. If this episode made you smile or gave you something to think about, please consider sharing a link to the show with someone you love. Leave a 5-star review, and of course subscribe to the show wherever you find your favorite shows. Want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful. Dr. Kathy McFarland, Ravi Hutheesing, Sean Sweet, Steve Butterman, Clifford Jones, Eliza Doherty, Glenn Blind, Dr. Donna McBride. Also want to thank all of the members of COSSBA, all of the school board members that we met, the superintendents. For the most part, especially when you're talking about the school board members, most of them are volunteers, and they are out there because they care about your kids. They want to give your kids the best education, best opportunities in life. For that, they deserve a hand. Hey, my team deserves a big thank you too. Jackson Saltalera, Chris Doherty, my beautiful wife. She deserves all the thanks and love in the world for all the love and support she gives me. Most of all, we want to thank you. We want to thank you for joining us today. We want to thank you for helping to make the world a better, more caring, more empathetic place. And remember, please, you do that every time you read with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next episode of Reading